Good morning, San Francisco. Good morning, San Francisco. Welcome to Free Talk SF, freetalksf.com. I am your host, Steven Zeiler. Today is Monday, August 10th, 2015, and you are joining me here in beautiful Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco, where we're talking about freedom, empathy, and independence for all people in San Francisco. Now, today I wanted to talk about public sex and nudity and all of the drama that surrounds that, some experiences I've had over the last week with public nudity, and I've been doing some research into the laws regarding public sex, public nudity, and the possible penalties for that. And the reason is I think it's really hot to have sex in public, and I would love to do that in all different types of places. And I was just looking into whether it is actually legal or illegal according to the state laws to have sex in public. To what degree can you be naked? So I found some answers, but San Francisco is fairly famous for its nudists and its nudity culture. And for instance, I've seen nudists out on the street here wearing basically nothing but a sock on their penis, which these guys are kind of weird anyway, because they were just standing around, seemed like looking for attention. But I'm all for them and their right to be naked. It's like we're just human. Everyone is humans. Everyone has a penis or a vagina or some combination thereof. And it's ridiculous that there's such a taboo around nudity and sex at all. So I was in Texas over the weekend visiting my family, and my brother is a basically transgender from female to male, but he's always really been male ever since I've always known him. So there's something inherent in his being that makes him male, and he dresses like a stereotypical male, and he has short hair, much shorter than my hair, and he wears men's swimsuits. And we were out at the lake, and he wanted to swim without a shirt on, and like all weekend he had been swimming at our house in the lake and paddleboarding without a shirt on, his nipples exposed, and it was great. He looked really free. But when we went to a more public space, my parents and my grandmother were shocked that he might, for instance, go diving off this cliff without a shirt on or without a top. And they were worried for some reason, I don't know. They were worried what other people were going to do, what other people were going to think. And in San Francisco, I really hope that's different. In my experience, I've been running without a top on once, and someone yelled at me. But obviously, it's because they're jealous. Is it legal for a woman to expose herself in public? Well, there are two California state laws that govern the public nudity and public sex. The first one it's entitled Engaging in or Soliciting Lewd Conduct in Public. That's California Penal Code 647A. So these are the people who have decided that if you're going to walk around in your natural state or perform something as natural and as basic as sex in public, that you should be thrown in a cage at gunpoint. And as far as freedom and empathy for people in San Francisco, it is appalling and enraging that anyone would ever be thrown in a cage for doing what humans have been doing and all animals do for billions of years, which is enjoying each other's bodies. And so California Penal Code 647A, this is the lewd behavior. And it basically says that it is illegal to touch your private parts for the purpose of sexual gratification or to annoy or offend anyone else. So it sounds like, and that means private parts, genitals, buttocks, or female breast. Why the female breast? That is ridiculous. Why not the male breast? And why haven't men stood up for the women's rights to have their breasts exposed? I really don't understand. I think we could probably get this changed. Though, most importantly, in San Francisco, it's actually the attitude of the police to this type of behavior to topless women, for instance. So I actually want to talk to some police. I'm going to go talk to some police and see what they would do if they encountered various situations of nudity and public sex. But to go on with the penal code, in and of itself, sexual activity, even in a public space, is not a crime, apparently. It only rises to the level of lewd conduct when you know or reasonably should know that there is likely to be someone present who would be offended. Now, I don't think it's likely that anyone in this city would be offended by public exposure or public sex. I can't even imagine anyone being offended because that's such a natural thing to do. And people in San Francisco they're so open to being who you want to be, being who you are, and they're so accepting about different types of people, different cultures, that it's unreasonable to expect anyone to be offended by public sex. Now, if you are like badgering someone or even engaging someone else who has not consented to your sexual engagement, it's totally inappropriate, and it's obvious that they would be offended by that. But if I was with a partner, being naked or enjoying each other's bodies, I see no reason why anyone would be offended. So I couldn't reasonably expect anyone in this city in particular to be offended, which makes me really happy to live in such a free place. Though we'll see what the police think about that. So I'm going to talk to the police. And apparently, interestingly, the police engage in sting operations to try to bait people into sexual acts, mainly men in restrooms, which is kind of bizarre and unethical, I would say. So even if you touch your private parts, not trying to sexually gratify yourself, you're totally fine. You can be completely nude in San Francisco. It's awesome. And this is not the same in places like Burnet, Texas, where I was over the weekend. That is much less acceptable there. Okay, before moving on to the next penalty. Oh yeah. So if they do charge you with this crime under this penal code, it is a misdemeanor offense punishable by up to 6 months in county jail and up to $1,000. I think I read that this law is about 144 years old. Sounds ripe for changing or probably just removing from the penal code. Maybe we can get local laws to override these, and basically, it doesn't really matter what the state of California laws are if local police don't enforce them or local courts don't. So we need to find out more about that. Though, of course, everyone's free to do what they want. Now, before I move on to the second one, which is the California Indecent Exposure Law, I want to make sure and remind everyone that this broadcast is free for use and reuse by anyone covered by the BIPCOT no-gov license. Free for reuse and use by anyone except government agents, of course. For more information, visit bipcot.org. And we officially have the license up on Free Talk SF. So you can navigate from the menu bar over to the license to check out more information about that. Oh, still kind of upset about female breasts. I saw a cool, a big movement happening over on the East Coast called Free the Nipple, where men and women were showing their nipples, being free people. And of course, this is completely appropriate. And it's unreasonable to expect anyone to be offended by any of this. Now, the indecent exposure law says that, let's see, apparently it's pretty vague. But if you are, like, I guess I brought this up before, but flashing people, engaging others, then you could be charged with indecent exposure. So if you're having sex, but your genitals are not exposed, it actually does not apply. And if you weren't aware of anyone being present or who could possibly be offended, then the law doesn't apply either. So I like that a lot because in San Francisco, there's no reason to expect, like I said, anyone to be offended just because of someone's body. I mean, you've seen the Pride parades, you've seen the Door Alley Festival, you've seen the Folsom Street Festival. These are places where people are engaged in nudity and public sex. So it's a normal thing in San Francisco, and everyone understands that it's going on, and obviously the police don't care. They don't find that anyone's offended. So that's definitely good precedent for public sex. If the police aren't going to enforce it there's no reason to expect that anyone would be upset or the police would want to enforce it in other places. Okay, so they're basically these two laws. And the second one is California Indecent Exposure Law, Penal Code 314 PC. And this one is a little bit more dangerous to your person if you are charged because, well, it's the same charge. It's a misdemeanor up to 6 months in jail or $1,000. But a second offense is a felony and could lead to California state prison sentence. So don't get caught twice if you have been convicted of California indecent exposure law. Though this law is obviously completely immoral and wrong because it makes no sense to lock someone in a cage at gunpoint, might I add, for being a natural human being and doing what humans do all the time. So there are some legal defenses, and this site I'm on actually, they offer legal protection for this. So I'm interested. So, it says that female breasts, for sexual purposes or not, are not exposing private parts. That's good. Underwear, of course, is acceptable and does not count. Now, if you force your way into someone's house and have sex, then it's a big crime. But that's obviously a crime anyway. It's trespassing. But this would just be so much fun. So just now I hope that this has brought some awareness to what you can do, what you can reasonably expect to happen in San Francisco. It sounds like in San Francisco, since we can't reasonably expect anyone to be offended, maybe in front of someone's house who has kids playing in the yard, I still don't think that anyone should be reasonably offended. So though there's a lot of secluded places, and that would, if you were having sex in a secluded place, that would not be illegal at all. under any circumstances, because there's no one, you can't expect anyone to be around, even though you can't expect anyone to be offended by that. Yeah, so that's the show for today, I believe. I was really interested in this, and I wanted to just look into the laws more. I'll have the laws, some links to what I'm reading, posted on the show page. And for people who might not be comfortable with this or might not be San Franciscans, a big part of this show is empathy. And I hope that people can empathize with other desires to enjoy their partner, to enjoy other people around them in a consensual way. And when there's no violence being perpetrated, no one's being aggressed against, please empathize with the desires and passions of other human beings around you, especially the most natural passions of all. So please be empathetic and be free and be independent and dance like no one's watching and encrypt like everyone's watching, because they are. Well, unless you want to be open in public with everything, but for me, business things, I like to encrypt. You never know who's going to try to benefit at your expense in the business world, so encrypt. If you would like to talk about anything, email showtips@freetalksf.com, and I will have you on the show. We can talk about anything. Tomorrow's show is going to be extremely interesting. I will have on Stacy Becker from Austin, Texas. She wants to talk about the expanding global consciousness and the awakening that's happening all over the world, and especially in her own life, as she is transformed from a let's say, conforming conservative to a free energy, free-spirited human being, the natural state for human beings. So tune in tomorrow. That will be 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 for Stacy, and it should be a fascinating talk. Have a wonderful day. I am Steven Zeiler with freetalksf.com. Peace.